What is up, Steeler Nation? We are back for another great episode here on the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. I am Jay York Football. This is Mic'd Up Sports One again in his remote office. How are you?
I'm good, man. I need to start making a background back here or something. I need to put a terrible towel up, my Steelers jersey, just like I have in the actual office at home. And maybe a license plate or something, so I'll get the honks down here in South Florida, because Steelers Nation is everywhere across the globe. This is Steelers Nation South right here that I'm in. But you just gave me a pretty good idea.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what you come up with. But here's a good idea. We got a former offensive lineman, maybe to talk about some of these Steelers offensive lineman draft pick, talk about his story. Played at Penn State. So, Sammy, let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This guy's wealth of football knowledge. We know anytime you play the sport, you analyze the sport a lot better than two jabronis like us, that's for sure. So we're excited to have him on, talk about his podcast a little bit, his career, and his love for Pennsylvania sports, that's for sure. It's none other than Landon Tengwall. Landon, what is up?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me on.
We're excited to talk to you, man.
Thanks
this
for
is really
coming.
cool. First of all, I was talking about my background. Look at that, is sweet behind you. You got a little Rose Bowl jersey, it looks like.
Yeah, it's the Rose Bowl.
I got a terrible towel.
Right here. We got Super Bowl 13 terrible towel. I need to get it signed by Terry Bradshaw. I'll work my Jack Ham connection, because Jack Ham's still our announcer around here. So I'm actually bringing Jack on the podcast soon. But I'll have to get him maybe to ship it off to Terry to get that signed. But that's an original one right there.
Tell us
That
about
looks like
Jack
it belongs
Ham
in a
at this
museum.
age.
Dude.
What is Jack Ham up to, and what is he? What's his personality like? How is he? How is he as a broadcaster?
Dude, he's hilarious. I remember at the Rose Bowl, we're in the back. We went to the Rose Bowl in 2022, and I'm in the back of the bus, and we're just kind of chatting. I look back, and I see someone back there. I'm like, wait a second. And Jack's been around, but he doesn't really hang out with us. And he's just on the bus in the back, just shooting the shit with us, like having a good time.
Huh.
I didn't even realize it was Jack for a little bit. I just heard like an old dude talking. I just figured it was like someone else within the program. But no, Jack is back there just kicking it with us. He just has a good time around here. He's obviously a Penn State legend as well as a Steelers legend. So it's really cool to have that around and ask him some questions about his time on the Steelers. So like I said, I'm bringing him on soon. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm sure you guys will have to retweet that out there, get that out there a little bit for me. But yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool to be around people that have been within the program. Obviously have a lot of connections, guys that are there and have been there, guys that have coached there. So not only a diehard Steelers fan, I used to cry when we'd lose when I was little. Every single game, it was my dad couldn't stop it. Tears were flowing if we lost. But I've been diehard ever since I was 5 years old. So I follow, obviously Penn State football, but I am Steelers Nation forever, and I'm always on Twitter checking every little update about anything that's going on with Steelers. So I'm excited. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Crying when you were little. I guess the only difference between Jordan and I is we still cry whenever they take an L. That's the only difference, I guess. And by the way, come on now. I remember the Rose Bowl win. I watched the whole game.
We have to get a bad call break.
Rose back there. That was a hell of a game, and I'm sure it was awesome to be a part of it. I want to, before we dive into the analytics side, let's look back on your career a little bit. Obviously stunted by injuries, which couldn't have been easy, man. But you seem like somebody who is, really turned that into an optimistic approach, somebody that, can help others who are going through that really move on to the next chapter. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so I was going into my third year this past August. Had another concussion, and that was kind of like number 6. It got to the point where for me, and it's different for other people, but for me, there's a lot of other stuff I value in life. And I wanted to, be down the line a great husband, a great father, and make sure I'm able to do all those things. So I decided to step away from football, which was very difficult for me, especially, after starting for 2 years at Penn State. You kind of can guess where that's going to head if you're playing well for a high-level team. So, the dream was the NFL, but at the end of the day, one door closes, another one opens. I'm a broadcast journalism major. So, when I retired, I took a little bit of time off, but I figured, hey, how can I still be in and around football, but also help my guys out? And so now I bring all my guys on the podcast. I'll do film breakdowns. I'm working on a Troy Fatanu film breakdown right now. I put out a couple clips of him and Zach Frazier on my Twitter, but nasty dude. So I'm do that type of stuff. And then I actually just posted today a video. I took one of our starting offensive linemen to Chick-fil-A, see how many calories he could eat. Real funny video. So that's the type of stuff. I'm trying to showcase our guys' personalities and allow them to build their brand and kind of give them an outlet for the fans to come and connect to them. So I really have enjoyed that. It's been awesome. But you're absolutely right. For me, I've never been one to sit there and sulk. So something bad happened, but hey, we got to get back after it and continue grinding. And this is a way I can still help out the team, obviously kind of start a career for myself, but also help out my guys and really kind of connect them through NIL too within around Penn State and get them hooked up with businesses and all that good stuff. So something I really enjoyed doing. So obviously real sad to say goodbye to my football career, but a lot of cool stuff in the future for me.
All right, before I kick it to Jordan, you're already an expert in the business. You just hit us with a great teaser. Now people have to go watch that video, of course, of you guys down in Chick-fil-A, which sounds delicious right now. The teaser is great, and because of it, I'm not going to ask you how many calories he ate because we want people to find out. But what was the assortment? You going like fries, soda, sandwiches, like nuggets too?
That's what was crazy. This dude went multiple meals, but every meal he got fries with a drink, and he added on a milkshake, an Oreo milkshake at the end. So we're talking, I think he had 4 drinks while he was sitting down, finished every single drink. I'll just tell you, it was over. It was
milkshokes,
dude. It was over 4,000. I'll put that out there, but I won't give the exact number. He put some food away, but it's a funny one. It's a short, little, quick video, but that's the type of stuff I enjoy doing. I'm gonna be doing a lot more of that type of stuff with the guys. And actually, I got something coming up soon. I'm excited about starting to bring Letterman in to break down current players' film. And Jesse James is actually my neighbor over here. So hoping to get him on and break down some tight end film. So
he caught that ball, by the way.
I tell him, I see him whenever he walks his dog. I'm like, Jesse. I'm like, yo, you caught that shit, bro. Don't worry about it.
Sick of that.
I'm sure.
What does he say?
Yeah, I mean, it's on T-shirts and everything.
I know.
Oh, that's big time.
That's hilarious.
So you kind of talked about it earlier, and obviously you wanted to still be playing football, but injuries happened. But just talk about getting into broadcasting. That was your major, journalism, but just talk about, your podcast and just all the guys that and kind of like what your goal is, for your career now after football.
Yeah, so my podcast is called the Behind the Wall Podcast. My whole kind of media company as a whole, you can find me anywhere on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's all just my full name, Landon Tengwall. So you just search it up. I'm post clips everywhere on Twitter. If you want to see a lot more, kind of film breakdowns and me giving my takes, if anybody thinks they're worth a damn, that's kind of where I do all that stuff. So you check me out on Twitter. But yeah, man, I like I said, I got into this because it's something I really enjoy telling people's story. It's something that excites me to give the fans an inside look, and that's kind of where the name Behind the Wall. Obviously, it's a play on Tengwall, my last name, but I'm taking the fans behind the wall. We're going back, and we're getting introduced to these guys in a different way. Because when these guys come to the media and the media has an interview with them, it's a ton of coach speak. It's, hey, we're working real hard. The guys are grinding, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't really want to hear that, man. That doesn't do anything for us. I'm bringing them on. We're talking about their background coming up. What was, high school recruiting like, their family life, like all that stuff that people can connect with. And they can say, hey, not only is this guy scoring a touchdown for my team on Saturday or Sunday, but now I know about the struggles he went through. I know about the type of guy he is, and that makes me want to cheer for him even more. So that's kind of my purpose with this. And then NIL has kind of popped off. And when I was an active player, I was really involved with our NIL collective, trying to get guys different deals, get them to do, different video shoots downtown. And now with that being pretty much my area of expertise, I'm able to hook up our guys with people downtown, and then I can create content off of that. Everybody wins. The business, the players are creating content, making money, getting their brand out there. So like I said, it really is about kind of helping everybody and getting the Penn State name, but really everything. I'm not even just doing Penn State. That's kind of where I'm starting because that is my main fan base. But I will tell you, I'm doing a lot of Steelers breakdown. I'm starting to get into the NFL all 22. So if you're interested, definitely follow me on Twitter. And if you find me very interesting, you come over to the YouTube. But Twitter, I think, is especially where Steelers fans, if you want to get some especially some offensive line takes, come on over. And I put out a lot of stuff on there. So,
well, I think that our viewers will like that. And that kind of just was a good segue into my next question. Just give us your take as a former offensive lineman. What do you think about the Steelers' offensive line after the draft? And you know how important it is. You have to win up front. 2 new quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Just kind of talk about the O-line draft class for us.
Yeah, this is the most excited I've been about our offense. And not even just offensive line, but our offense since probably 2016 or 2017. Back when we had Ramon Foster, David Nicastro, Pouncey, and the boys, bro, when Villanueva was still clamping down. Like, that was like peak offense. Unfortunately, we had Sean Davis back there at DB, so it wasn't
Wait, you're a Maryland guy. That's a Maryland
I know, I'm
guy
hating
coming
on
out of Maryland guy?
Yeah, name me a time that Mike Tomlin has ever drafted a Maryland player that worked out, please.
Wow.
It doesn't happen. I know, I'm a Maryland guy.
Right.
It never
Did
worked.
Anthony McFarland go to Maryland?
He did.
Yeah.
You could say that. I wouldn't call that working out. I mean,
No, I was naming guys that didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, but man, I'm really excited. I think, we hit absolute home runs here in this draft class, starting off with Troy Fontanu. How do you say it? Fontanu?
Still learning.
Yeah, the Yinzers are probably having a rough time with that one. But Fontanu, man, I really started diving into his Washington tape. He does stuff athletically that other guys just can't do. It's that simple. I know some fans are worried about him being 6'3". He has 34-inch arms. So really height doesn't have that much of a difference or, make too much of a difference. It's really about that arm length. If you have 32-inch arms on the edge, it starts to get a little bit harder. He has those long arms and he can move. So I'm really not worried about that height thing. I don't think the height matters that much. So, whether we see him at left or right, I really don't. I don't think it matters too much. I would prefer to keep him at left where he has played, where he's comfortable. But, man, we're stacking up. We are stacking up. Zach Frazier is a nasty dude. We played him week 1. I remember watching the tape afterwards. We played West Virginia, and he was the only dude doing anything against our defensive line. He was putting some dudes in the dirt. Like, I was really impressed. I got a real close relationship with Matt Moore, the offensive line coach at West Virginia, and he was so high on Zach for the past couple years, and he always talked very highly of what kind of player he was, but he's also a great person. And I think that's what we're starting to stack up is these locker room guys, which is so important. Yeah. I mean, just speaking from a standpoint, I've been in a locker room that's kind of toxic, and then I've been in a locker room where everything is good and you have real leaders. I think that's what we're headed for. I mean, you saw Jaylen Warren basically come out and say, we didn't have any leadership. And thankfully, Russell can sometimes be almost too positive, but at least we have that veteran quarterback who's won a Super Bowl and can, when stuff starts to go bad in the locker room with like Diontae and then Pickens just follows along and you don't have especially the quarterback of the team to stand up and be like, hey, knock that shit off. Like, we're not doing that here. That's not acceptable. Yeah. When you don't have that, it just builds and guys start to resent each other. It's not a good scenario to be in. So I think we're doing a really good job of drafting dudes that are culture drivers too. So that's one thing I'm really excited about. And then obviously McCormick in the 5th round, I think 5th or 6th round. That was a home run. He was one of the best offensive linemen in the FCS. And I'm not too worried about that type of transition. When you're dominant, you play with a mean streak. That transition isn't as difficult. I think that's a really good depth piece. But I don't see any way. I've seen some people say Dan Moore is going to compete with Fontanu. I just don't see it happening. Dan Moore, I always loved him. He always got out of his set pretty well, got out of his stance, but he just doesn't have, number one, his anchor is not that good. and he just gets edged really easily. And I'm kind of tired of seeing him, man. It's just I don't think I saw that he's in for a payday for someone else, not us, because I don't want to pay him any money. Yeah. So
I think Steeler Nation will agree with that.
Yeah. I think we're sitting. I think this offensive line, like I said, is right up there with this 2016, 2017 offensive line that we had, where across the board, I mean, it is solid. And then you got some dudes that set the tone. I mean, they're not playing around. They want to put dudes in the dirt. And that's also something from an offensive line standpoint. It's one thing to just go out there and block dudes, but when you have that killer mentality, that starts to reach out to other dudes on the team. We got Roman Wilson. That's someone who loves to put people in the dirt at the wide receiver position. And I think, honestly, getting Diontae out of here, I don't know.
Wow, that's saying a lot coming from a Penn State guy.
I know. He scored a lot on us, man. But Jordan, I saw you put out this tweet earlier talking about Diontae Johnson. Are we really going to miss him? And I don't even really care about his production. He was so toxic, and it was such a bad example for George Pickens. People don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. No, I was just going to say that you hit the nail on the head with everything, is because you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't have the locker room culture and the positivity, and you got guys, you can't have battles in the locker room when you're on the same team. Everyone on there, those are your brothers. You go to war, I mean, you said it yourself. So, I mean, I just think that for the first time in a while that the Steelers culture is trending in the right direction, but at least we can, even if whatever happens, at least we can be a little more optimistic than in recent season.
I definitely agree. Like you said, man, it doesn't really matter what his production was on the field. But after that Cincy game, when he was walking with that fumble and just walked to I was done. I was like, dude, we need to get him out of here.
I've been done. That was just selling the deal there. So same thing with Chase Claypool, like when he's celebrating when the Steelers are down. That was, and we see how that turned out. So
It is, I mean, and then looking at like Peyton Wilson, man, that I have taught. You've seen a couple people. Luke Kuechly even came out and said, "Hey, this guy reminds me the most of me that I have seen at all." So I'm pumped up. I think once again, the con artist Omar Khan back again with another A+ draft. I was hyped leaving that draft. I mean, we hit what we need to hit. I know there's still a little bit of worry about wide receiver, and it seems like we keep adding these wide receiver like 4s and 5s. Like we're not adding a number 2 guy.
I'm not worried.
So, but I'm really not either. And I think, like you said, I saw you say this too, and I'm in agreement. If Russell can, he has a great offensive line, he's going to be able to depend on Najee and Jalen because of the way this offensive line is going to set the tone. And that takes some pressure off Russell. I don't think people understand, like, he didn't really have a running game at Denver. When he had Marshawn to rely on, he was great. When you have a running game to fall back on and know, hey, I can go get 5-6 yards out of this guy, that takes so much pressure off of the quarterback when he has that run game. So having that, I think, is really going to help Russell out. Obviously, we know he's best in play action pass, kind of moving around a little bit. I think this offense is really conducive to that. I'm excited to see what Arthur Smith can do. Did really well in Tennessee. Obviously, when you're a head coach and an OC, it's harder to balance. But now he just has to worry about making this offense hum. And I think he has pretty much every piece. I mean, every piece outside of the wide receiver room is completely checked off, in my opinion. I know the quarterback, people are still saying, hey, I've seen the take that it's not that much of an upgrade from Kenny Pickett, which I think is laughable. Kind of just watching that film. I mean, that is one dude who was scared out there. He was playing scared, and that's the bottom line. I don't think we'll see as much of that from Russell Wilson. But I just think we're in such a better place than we were when we ended this past season. And the future looks bright for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So as a young Steelers fan, I am very excited because we know after Ben, it's kind of like when you have that legendary quarterback for almost 20 years, it's like, all right, where do we go from here? I think we're in a good in-between spot, and it takes a lot of teams way longer to get back to even being competitive. And it's like we never really even dropped off. So, I mean, that's the Steeler way. But, shout out. I am a Mike Tomlin fan. I know a lot of people that are in and around, the facility. I think he is conducive to winning and taking this team to the top. But I think Omar Khan, he is really setting this team up. And Art Rooney's saying, hey, let's go make some moves. Let's do this. We're not messing around anymore. We're not sitting back and being ultra conservative. it is time to try to win and at least win some playoff games. I'm tired, man. I need a playoff game. I need a wild card win, man.
Just something. I just want to have a hat just saying we want to playoff game.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But hey, we'll get you out of here on this.
No, we need more than a hat.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, and it was really cool to get the perspective from a former player on the offensive line. I know our viewers will appreciate that. But just tell us one thing outside of football that people may not know about you that's interesting or unique, and then again where they can follow you. And we'll definitely have to do this again, and we'll be checking out for the Jesse James and Jack Ham episode as well.
No doubt. Absolutely, man. I guess the coolest thing about me is I am a water polo junior Olympian. Growing up, I played at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and we'd go out every year to the Junior Olympics, and we won gold, I think 2 or 3 times. So multiple time Junior Olympian champion. So I guess that's my fun fact. But yeah, man, anything offensive line play, if you're a Penn State fan, college football fan, come and check me out. All platforms, Landon Tengwall. It's called the Behind the Wall podcast, but full name on any social media, you'll find me. We're pumping out a lot of cool content. And even if you're not a fan and you just want to see some cool, especially college football content where we're bringing players, active players behind the scenes and getting to learn about what this life is like a little bit, come tune in, man. It's a good time over here.
Awesome. Well, hey, we appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Man, you're crushing it. We
appreciate it.
We could use a third. You got a lot going on, but we could always add a third to the Sick Podcast deal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, you guys let me know. I'll definitely make my way back on before the season and as we get going. And especially, I love breaking down films. So if you guys are ever interested to put out some Steelers breakdown, we can get into it, man.
I'll DM you my number. We can definitely make that happen because I know our viewers will really appreciate that. Keep up the good work, man. This has been such a great conversation, and I know that Steeler Nation will be grateful to hear from you.
No doubt, Jordan. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys. Go Steelers.
Yes. Yeah, again, just great stuff, great insight. And we just wanted to tell everyone this episode is sponsored by Better Health. It can easily ignore our social battery and spread ourselves thin, especially with social gatherings picking up after the winter. Therapy can give you the self-awareness to drain, to get your battery back up to 100%. Find your social sweet spot with Better Health. Visit betterhealth.com. Pitts, PITTS, and get 10% off your first month. That's Better Health. I know that I need to function correctly, 8 hours of sleep. Health is wealth, as I like to say. So make sure you check it out. In the first month, 10% off. Just make sure that you use it, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, this has been another great episode of the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. Until next time, Jordan and Mike, we're out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.